Following is a Scotch Media production.
What made Allen so great, man, because he's that guy, after every game, man, he would be the guy come in the locker room and tell his teammates how much he loved them.
So you land with the 76ers. You get through all the pomp and circumstance. You go show up to practice. What's that first day like? Is it like a hazing?
For me, I'm not sure about everyone else, but my first day at practice was like, huh? Because it was different because my first day at practice, I was always been a scorer. You know, I'm averaging 35 in high school, leading the SEC in scoring. Leading the SEC in scoring. Like, I've been scoring my whole life, so my first day at practice, what am I doing? I'm scoring. I'm thinking they brought me in to help Allen Iverson score. And Larry Brown's like, time out. Come here, young fella. I'm like, what's up, coach? He's like, listen here. If you want to play for me, you got to find something else to do. We got a little guy on our team who's going to shoot 50 times a night. And I'm looking like, what? Talking about Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, okay, why did y'all draft me is what I was thinking. And luckily I had some really, really good vets on the team. Aaron McKee, Eric Snow, Theo Ratliff. We had some really, really good guys that kind of kept me, in it, because I was like, what am I gonna do now? Not that I couldn't defend and do other things, just I was never asked to do it. So just to be able to get their input and kind of go through it with them, and them giving me my feedback, like, look here, Jumaine, first of all, if you want to play for Larry Brown, you got to play some defense. And when you play defense, then you may get an opportunity to score and show people that you can score if Allen Iverson isn't shooting the ball.
So you had to almost relearn the game.
No, it was just almost like trying to find a role to play. Like, I've had one role my entire life, and then, now I'm in the NBA, and then now I got to try to find another role other than what I've been doing.
It's like reinventing yourself as a player.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things too. I praise my high school coach on a lot, because he always one of the things he was high on with me, because I had like a 40-inch vertical in high school. Like all
I think I'm 40 inches tall.
like like all I wanted to do was dunk, and my coach would be like, you know what, man, if Jumaine dunks today and doesn't work on the other parts of his game, then we're running for the rest of the practice. So it was so hard for me not to dunk.
Why isn't somebody stomping Private Pyle's guts out?
So he kind of forced me into, working on all different parts of my game. So he was like, Jumaine, you're not going to be able to dunk every time once you go to the next level. And I was like, why not? Because I was that athletic. But, just buying into, what he did and the things that he was showing me, because he would have this thing where he would have the bigger guys working on post-ups and, shots, and then we have the guards on one end, but he would have me doing both. He would have me working with the guards, and he would have me working with the bigs, because he really wanted to develop every part of my game. So, hats off to Rufus McDuffie. I just wanted to be able to let him know how appreciative I am of him, because without him, I wouldn't have lasted 8 years in the NBA or went overseas for 8 years, because the simple fact that he helped me develop my game to be all around and be able to fit everywhere I played at in the NBA. So playing there and being able to fit in, it took a while. It took me kind of sitting back and see, where I can be effective. And that's one of the things I had to learn, like, how can I be effective without having the basketball? And I've always been a great rebounder. I was averaging 15, 20 rebounds in college, was averaging, in high school, and averaging 10. And, I was second in the SEC in rebounding. So that's one of the things I pride myself as at a small forward position, to be able to rebound the basketball, to be able to get the team second chance points. And then I start studying the game more, where I've learned about plus minus, the times that I'm in the game. You know, what are we doing? Like I always wanted to bring the energy. I wanted to give us extra shots. I wanted to be able to do all the things that whenever I'm in the game, that means we're going up. You know, so one of my plus minuses, and somebody brought it to me my second year. They was like, man, you know, your plus minuses up there with like guys like Tim Duncan and these kind of guys. And I was like, really? And I always took pride in that. So whenever I got in the game, I wanted to bring that energy. And that was something I pride myself in. Like when I go in, we got to go up. And that's the
Take
role I
advantage
play.
of every situation you got.
And stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
But you told me a story when we first met about AI.
Man, this guy was different, man. Like this guy just has God-given talent.
Like, is it almost eerie to watch?
And it's only like they don't have many of those. Maybe one or two in a lifetime. Like
Prince,
you don't really
him, like across the world, right? Like there are different forms of them.
Yeah, like you know, there'll never be another Allen Iverson
No.
that can do the things that he did. And funny story too that the first time I've ever seen anybody talk with the coach the way Allen Iverson was talking to the coach. It was funny because he comes in practice, right? He comes in practice like, and take it like I was a big fan of his too. So
I'm sure you were like,
he comes in with some pink bunny slippers on and some pajamas, clearly hungover from the night before. Clearly hungover. So Larry Brown's sitting there. He's like, Allen, you practicing today? Allen's like, hell no, I ain't practicing. He's like, wow, what's wrong? You hurt? He said, hell no, I'm not hurt. I went out last night and I got fucked up and I'm just not practicing today. Take it, I'm a rookie.
your eyes are the best. You're like,
I'm a rookie, so I'm sitting here looking like, I'm looking around, so I'm being observant, like, let me see. It's, what other people gonna say, and like everybody was like,
How's this gonna play out?
Like it was a normal day. So I'm sitting there like, okay, nobody's gonna say anything. I was like, I say, Eric, like, everybody talk to the coach like that? No, young fella. He talks to the coach like that. Every arena he goes to, he put asses in the seat. He can talk to the coach. You keep following instructions. I say less. I understand now.
I got it.
and it was verified because you could just watch him and be like, this human being is this guy's from another planet.
Man, it's so crazy, man, because like for 2 years I was with this guy every day. And in the summertime, man, this guy wouldn't touch a basketball. And then we would come in training camp, and this guy would be running laps around people, laughing and joking. And I'm like, man, this guy can't be real. Like who comes in? I know you hadn't touched a basketball all summer.
Or did any type of conditioning.
No conditioning, any of that. And you coming in here running around this fast and lapping people in 17s? Like, he's really sitting on the side laughing at us, waiting for us to finish up at 17. Like, that's how crazy. Like, that's why I say you'll never see a God-given talent like Allen Iverson.
Favorite teammate?
Quite a few of those.
But someone that's just like, man.
I'd probably say Kobe and Allen Iverson. Probably my two best teammates.
Like, teammates, not just, wow, really?
Teammates.
How do they endear themselves?
So what made Allen so great, man, because he's that guy, after every game, man, he would be the guy come in the locker room and tell his teammates how much he loved them. Like, after every game, you don't get that from superstars. They don't come in after the game and like, hey, man, I love y'all, man. Y'all go hard every night. And that meant something to us. Like he really loved us. And he showed it on and off the court. Like, when you're around him, he's like one of the most loving guys, and people always have this thing about him, like he's the thug and he's this. Like, even now when I see Allen Iverson and we go and talk, it's guaranteed he's going to start crying at some point. he's gonna cry at
Sensitive
some
soul.
point, and
He's very sensitive.
He always sit down and he was like, man, it's crazy, man, how basketball takes us. Like, man, we spent almost 2 years together. Then you get traded, and it's like we don't spend as much time together. He's like, you know how hard that was to be able to go through your career and build a relationship with people, and then your relationship changes, and then you see this person, and then you talk and catch up that little time, like. Man, we should spend all this time together, and
Then it gone.
Then he goes into his crying. Like, this guy is.
That's really sweet.
It's guaranteed with him, man. Like, me and my friends always joke whenever he comes to Philadelphia, like, yeah, let's go meet Allen so he can start crying again.
I got tears in my soup. You know what, man, Alan, you cry, brother. No, seriously, everybody needs a good fucking bailing every once in a while.
Absolutely.
And if you can't do it around your boys,
Right.
Good for
Healthy
you,
male
Alan.
bonding.
And especially around people you can trust and love, like.
Absolutely.
But it's so funny to me because and he was probably, like you said, on and off the court was great. He might have been aggressive with the coaching, but he was never aggressive with you guys, was he?
No, he loved us, and it wasn't even he was aggressive with the coaches. Like people don't even understand the reason why him and Larry Brown got it into it so much was because Allen used to come in the locker room and listen to the things that we was complaining about that we didn't like doing at practice. Oh, Allen's going to say something. Mm-hmm. So now you got two bulls in the ring. Larry like, hey, I'm going to coach my team the way I want to coach it. You don't come in and tell me how to do it. And Allen's like, hey, man, my teammates, we out there, we going to war every single night. Like, give them some slack. So it was more of that, the reason why.
What a leader, man.
Yeah, he was the best, man. Like, people always.
He held the shit back. He was the true leader.
Yeah.
And so, wow, because he gets portrayed, man, like.
People always give him a bad rap, man.
Bad rap.
And a bad way to go, but that's what lets me know that people don't really know who he is.
By the time he was allowed or wanted to tell, he was so beaten down in the sense, I'm tired. Like, I am, that's what you think I am, then fine.
Right, yeah. And he would accept that. He would be the person like, you know what, if I got to go through this for my teammates to be okay, well, so be it.
Oh, man, you don't find that at all.
And he was like that with everything. Like he took the ridicule for, the tattoos, the cornrows, the baggy shorts, because he felt comfortable in what he liked to wear. Like, he was like, he would always say, and it just be funny, like, why are they going to make me wear a suit? If I'm a killer and I put on a suit, I'm still a killer. You know what I mean? Like, that was his perspective of things. Like, man, I've never had to wear a suit to come play basketball. And, that's the way he seen things. And, he took
He was first through the wall, though, on a lot of stuff, right?
And that's the thing. Like, now, all these guys now don't have to wear suits.
Right.
So and they're covered in tattoos.
And nobody's judging them for it. LeBron
and their clothes are baggy.
Right. And he set
first
the tone.
Through the wall, pal.
He took all the ridicule for all the things to allow players to do and be able to, do the things that they do now.
They used to, so you guys had to wear suits.
Yeah, or get fined $1,500 a game. You don't wear one.
I worked in radio sales. Hold up. And I would be calling on strip clubs, head shops, and I had to wear a fucking suit to work. I'm like, do you realize the people I go in and see are some of them aren't dressed. And I'm wearing a 3-piece suit in Tampa. My chest smelled like a shoe. But we didn't get $1,500. That's
$1,500
to sit on a plane and fly somewhere to get off and then take that suit off to put on shorts.
Yeah.
To do your job.
Yeah.
So basically, if that's you should be in shorts all the time.
Yeah. Allen would be like, how many games we have? Yeah, go ahead and take that out my next check.
I love it.
Baller.
I love it.
Shot caller. First through the wall. Allen's first through the wall. He's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And the best is like a lot of say, you see it. You see a lot, but it's like about me. Right. He was like, I'm taking my boys with me.
Right.
And it wasn't just that. I'm sure he loved all the players in the
Yeah,
NBA.
absolutely. Still do.
And I wouldn't doubt he loves other people too. Like
Yeah.
if you can't take that trait and just say it's good
Right.
for this.
Yeah.
Which is probably why you said like and I've watched a documentary on him. He took a beating, man. Like
Man, it's crazy, man. I say his heart is so big to a fault.
Yeah.
Like that's who he is. He loves everybody.
until you don't, right? Like, and that's the type of stuff where it's people, and it's just like I could see. Imagine that level,
Yeah.
where you want to help,
Yeah.
and you have the means, and then it's just like, but that's like one of those things where it's like they take and then they keep taking, and then once you don't have any, they don't care,
Nope.
and that's
And those are the people that's talking about you.
You got it.
How did he do that? Why did he do that? What?
Yep.
Are you kidding me? He's trying to help everybody, that's why.
everyone. He's
But if he wasn't, then he's selfish.
Right.
How can you win?
can't.
Can't.
No good deed,
The only-
right, goes unpunished, and then you get, you can't. And at that level, I could not imagine.
Yeah, it's different, man. I tell people all the time, man. Being that 19-year-old kid being drafted, man, with 16 aunties and uncles and about 1 million first cousins, like when I tell you, like being drafted was like the best day of my life and the worst day of my life at the same time, because nobody could prepare me for all the things that was coming to me off the court.
Was it a lot of this?
Yeah, what?
I,
Was it? Man, it was a time where every day at minimum I had 40 messages from someone needing something at minimum.
family members.
Family members, friends, newfound cousins.
Oh,
Coming out of the woodwork.
Like, I don't think we played in the sandbox together.
Look at me. I'm your long lost cousin, Joseph.
I'm
Remember me?
so-and-so.
Remember me?
I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
And then you're navigating that, a new baby, a career. It's got to be, whew.
Man, it was a lot, man. It was a lot. Like, it was times during my career, man, I was just hoping I didn't have money. That's how bad it was. Like, I was just hoping not to have it because I didn't want to have to deal with everything that came with it. It was tough.
Wow.
It's a whole other level.
And I know, with the money I was making, I can't imagine guys like Allen Iverson. Like,
Right. Right.
My point.
Right.
I hung out with the drummer of Creed one night in Vegas. I'm not trying to drop names or anything. All right? I'm not dropping big names like Allen Iverson or Kobe. But I got to drop Scott Phillips, your good drummer, pal. I was in Vegas with him. They were playing a show, and somehow we ended up hanging. I'm like, holy shit, you're Scott Phillips. And he's like, that's weird that you would even. I'm like, I know this. I know Florida rock and roll. I grew up there. But he said, I go, is Scott Stapp the singer of Creed? I remember this big thing about what an asshole he was and this and that. And he's like, dude, it literally, the fame, the larger the building got, the fame got. And it got nuttier and nuttier. And he's like, it literally is almost like you can clock it by the size of the buildings we were playing, i.e. arenas. Like, it was insanity. He's like, and then your band members change, like money changes literally everything. Like, it's just, I couldn't imagine. And he's like, just think of it that way. Like, you're playing a club for like 50 people, your egos are here.
yeah.
And then you're paying this is like your ego, your money, and everything. I always thought of that. Like, what a funny way of explaining it. Like,
It's crazy.
and then you're just completely catapulted. You could just come from this college kid to like, boom.
Yeah, right away at 19. And, I come from a family where, I think maybe half of my family dropped out of middle school and maybe one graduated high school. So I'm this 19-year-old kid, got to figure out and make decisions on my own with no guidance at all.
Did you have anybody come at a coach or?
I mean, like, everybody was pretty much like, like, what do you do? How can you tell me what to do with $1 million if you never had $1 million?
Yeah.
It's very hard. You can't even fathom having $1 million.
You know what I mean? Without doing this first.
Right.
Yeah, because the first thing
Right.
you would think was, you give me some.
Right.
I raised you. I put you in the fields. Yeah. You got that one meal. You got those meals. You got a place to sleep. Did you have any falling outs with family from this?
What?
I'm just. I know. I knew the answer. I just.
What?
I,
So that's one of the that was probably one of the toughest things of the job, you know, because you could say yes 100 times, and the one time you say no, it's like you the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
like, what about those 100 times I said yes? Because the longer my career went, you know, the less I had to die down on helping people. You know, I started having my family. You know, I started having kids. You know, I got married. You know, now I got other responsibilities other than trying to help everybody. So I had to die down on a lot because it's crazy. And I tell people this all the time. My first 4 years in the league, I was in the red. I was dead broke after my first contract. I didn't have no money at all. None. I was in the red. So the 4 years.
You're 23 years old. You got nothing.
Nothing. I didn't have not one dime.
Ooh, and a baby?
So the 4 years it took me getting into that debt, it took me 4 years getting out of it. I had to put a plan together to be able to get me out of that and still be able to live comfortable and be able to take care of, you know, the people that was most important, which were my kids and my wife at the time. So I had to be able to scale back a lot of stuff and, you know, start saying no to family. And when I started saying no, I started losing them. And that made my job tougher because I look at it as somebody dying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now this
Prolific,
person,
man.
because now this
Prolific.
person isn't talking to me anymore. That meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they always say, you know, don't let money change you. But the person that's getting the money never changes. The people that's surrounding them that changes because I've always been the same person. You've never asked me for money before. You know what I mean? You're being different.
Right.
I'm not. I'm still the same person. So to go through that process and then, you know, I'm part of 1%. It's only 450 NBA players that in the league every year. And you got new guys coming in every single year. And I got to deal with losing family. You know, that was probably one of the toughest things for me going through the process of being in the NBA. It was almost like I wanted to go overseas or be away from everything, you know, to be able to go over there. Like, it was hard for me coming home. You know, I would go over there for 10 months out of the year, and I'm like, good, because I couldn't hear it from anybody. You know, the first time, like, I'm out of the country for 10 months, like, I'm not talking to anybody. You know what I mean? I had lost so much family, and then, you know, you hear things in the street where everybody's bashing you. You know, you see some people you went to high school with, and you're hearing about all the bad things that your family's saying about you. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough because it's like, wow, like, that's how people feel about me. Like, have y'all always felt that way, or you just felt like that because, you know, I
didn't give you this infusion of blank.
Like, really? That makes me different because I said no.
This time. This time. It's
crazy. So, you know, that's one of the perspectives I always try to, like, give, you know, give kids because, you know, it's just a different level of everything. You know, not only, that's why I call my organization Beyond the Hardwood, because I like to have these conversations because you got to have more than just basketball skills. It's so much other things that come with the game and being in the NBA that, you know, it's not enough out there. Nobody's really talking about everything that comes with being in the NBA, and I think it needs to be talked about more.
Well, I think people just in general and in life need to stop looking at things as it's going to be glamorous and great right away, right? We hit on this I almost want to call this episode work because I feel like, one, we did it here, but also the whole thing's been about work and tenacious and moving the needle, right? Because of that pure fact of you're not going to tell me I can't.
Right.
And I think that we somehow in society have missed that now.
Absolutely.
We've so taken away from that it doesn't start glamorous.
Right.
It doesn't start good. Like, and if they don't see that right away,
Yeah.
I'm not CEO right away, or I'm not, and you're just like,
Right.
it's sad.
It is.
Like, there's no more growth or work towards.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm not instantly drop shipping, making $5,000 a week, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And it's sad stuff, man. And it's also, like you said, like watching the family collapse on you.
Yeah. That's tough to take in.
So would you say, because I wanted to get into this really quick, because it's super interesting to me, playing overseas, it was a refuge.
Man, it was an experience.
Fill me in. Like, you go over there.
Well, I'll tell you about my first funny too. So I'm going to Italy and take it like Southern Italy. You know, everybody don't speak English in Southern Italy. You got to go like Rome or, you know, up north, Milan, you know, those places where everybody speak English. But in Southern Italy, everybody don't speak English. So take it. I go over there. I'm in Naples. You know, people always like, man, how do you get through and be able to navigate and you don't speak Italian? I was like, man, basketball is international. I know how to play basketball, and I can kind of, you know, see, you know, how the plays are going, and you know, you could draw up plays. So I go over there. We're going traveling. We're going to different places. You know, my teammates take it like none of my teammates is talking to me. Like, we're going to dinners. We're going to like everywhere. None of my teammates is talking to me. And I'm sitting there like, I'm supposed to be here for 10 months. Yeah. I'm the only American on the team. I was the only American on the team. So I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. So I'll take it. I'm there for a month and a half going through this by myself. And I'm like, I call my agent. I say, look here, man. Tell them they need to get another American over here. I'm on the next thing smoking. Because
I need to talk to someone.
Because I couldn't fathom going through that process with no one else but me and not being able to communicate with anybody else.
They give you no translator, nothing.
No, none of that. So when I told my agent that, the next week they got an American. The American comes in, and as soon as he comes in, everybody on the team talking to him in English.
Wait, seriously?
They knew the whole time.
I'm looking at them. I say, y'all speak English? And they was like, well, not good English. And I say, man, that's
good enough.
That's perfect English to me. That's music to my ears to even hear that. I'm like, what is going on? So one of my good friends, he came up to me. He was like, Jumaine, you got to understand, you know, we've never had a caliber player like you on our team.
Terrified of you.
He was like, man, we usually get the guys that come over here and think they played in the NBA, but, you know, they're the people that get cut to come over here to play. You've actually played everywhere you've been in the NBA. We've never had
like
anybody
we watch you
there.
on TV.
Yeah, like
Right.
they like, man, we've never had a caliber player like you before.
They were
Everybody
intimidated.
was so nervous to say anything to you. And I said, are you kidding me?
Me?
I was like, are you kidding me?
I took you out for gelato the
I've
other
been
day.
sitting here like hoping, like somebody say something.
Once they started talking, were they great?
Man, I still, to this day, one of my best friend, Simone Flamini, is my best friend, man. And he, you know, once he started talking to me, man, we became best friends, and still to this day we stay in contact. So I like to think that I'm Italian now because that's, you know, that's how I feel about all
Do
the.
this.
Yeah, that's the thing they used to do to us when we lose games.
Shoot in the ball! Or shoot in the ball!
If we lose a game, everyone's like, and take it like I had I didn't take my family over there the first year because I just wanted to experience it. I didn't know how that was going to go. And then the next year they came and, they loved it, man. I fell in love with Italy, once people start speaking to me in English, of course. But still to this day I enjoy it. I always said, whenever my pension kick in, I'm moving to Italy. And I will be living over there. But I got 2 daughters that speak fluent Italian because they went to school over there.
Wow.
In Italy.
That's
so,
awesome.
What an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, they had an excellent experience, man. And it's weird, too, because my 20-year, she's 20 years old now, but probably about 5 years ago, she came up to me and she was like, Dad, I just want to tell you how much, we appreciate you being able to show us the world because, people are weird. We just see life so much different than everybody and I think that's because we've experienced it everywhere. And that just almost made me go
That's
into
awesome.
tears because, like, how do you understand that already? You're 15 years old. Like, how do you understand that, you see the world different just because you travel? And I tell people all the time, you never really appreciate being American until you travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, so I think they also see it different because you could have looked at that a lot of ways. You could have looked at it like these guys are racist.
Right.
Or this, that. And I don't think you looked at I think you looked at it like there's something not right. And then to come and find out that they were really just enamored.
Man, you know what?
Like, what a cool way to like.
So the culture was so different for me too, and luckily I had a teammate. The teammate that came over, he had played in Italy for some years, and it's a lot that I didn't understand. Like I didn't understand, why are these men keep trying to kiss me on my cheeks? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like why are these
Very
men?
affectionate, yeah.
Why are they rubbing on my head? And
Yeah.
and like every guy dressed a certain way. I was like, and their nails were so fine, and I'm like, do any of these guys like girls?
They all do.
Like that. Like that's what I used to think.
Trust
you
me.
know? and
Those
then
paisans like the ladies.
and then I had to learn, like, oh, okay, well, maybe they just a little in touch with their feminine side over here. You know what I
They're
mean?
into
It just-
designers
Yeah.
and clothes.
Yeah.
Like it's very.
Yeah.
My grandfather used to always go when I would go to see him. He'd go give me a kiss.
Right,
Like he would be like, "What's the matter with you?" I go, "Hey," and I give him a kiss on the cheek. It was always
right.
very right. Like that's how he was. You know,
Yeah.
Peter, give me a kiss.
Yeah, that's how you greet.
That's how you
And
greeted,
say
and-
bye, yeah.
He was always about his hair, and it was always about like he looked like until the end. And he
Right.
started wearing my mom's pants. I thought that was a bit weird. Not for anything weird, just stay fit. Hey, these are your mother's. They look familiar. Jesus Christ, get me out of here. So you're in Italy. You bounced around a little around in Europe, right?
Yeah. I spent 4 years in Italy. That's where I stayed at most. 'Cause I really enjoyed it until the pandemic hit.
Oh no.
Yeah, once that hit, man, it hit Italy pretty hard.
Where would you say best food out of any place you've been? Italy. I don't know, bro. You played in Lebanon too.
I played in Lebanon.
I heard the food in
over-
Beirut is out of control.
Man, I love the food in Lebanon, and I also love the food in Israel.
Oh yeah.
The food was really good there, but I think it was just,
The pasta in Italy.
like when you make pasta and you don't put anything on it and it's delicious.
It's still good.
You know what I mean? And then the pizza is fresh and like when I came back to the States, I was like, man, I couldn't eat Pizza Hut, Pop. I don't want any of that pizza. Like, who eats that?
I
Like,
bet.
I'm Italian.
You're Italian. Maybe I get to cook for you then one day. I'll cook for you. Do you cook?
No, man. I can boil eggs.
I'll cook for you. We'll have a little bit. I'll make you something one day. My grandfather put a couple little things on.
Yeah, but it was just great over there. The food was just everything about it, man. I love their culture. Just the fact that they shut down the city, for lunch, for family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I love that. Like, what? We get to be around family and all the stores closed and you have to be somewhere at somebody's house because you can't go anywhere else. In southern Italy, man, everything was shutting down for at least 4 hours for you to be with family and friends. And I Like, I love that. Like, I love their culture. It's beautiful in Italy. The food, I can eat all the food I want and lose weight because it's so clean. You know what I mean? I would come home for 2 months and gain 30 pounds. And I'll go back to Italy and eat more and shed weight because the food is so clean. That would let me know, like, I don't know what we're doing to food in America.
Scary, isn't it? It's a little scary what we're doing with. If I watch TV one more time and I see Zempic, right? We dance to it now. Zempic. Like, it's fucked up, man. Like, I'm dancing to pharmaceutical commercials. Like, what the hell's the matter with me? You gotta do what you gotta do. Like, no, I've heard. My mother went to Italy, and she said it was. She said it was incredible. She said, but one thing that blew her mind, she also went to Ireland, and she said she's never had potatoes like that.
Oh, really?
She said she said, Peter, we can cook Italian, right?
Right.
And it was good. It was better. But she said something about those Irish potatoes.
Really?
She said, I've never seen people work a potato like that. She's like, that's what she said. So
we know our potatoes.
My wife, she's Irish. She knows her fried potato products. She knows it.
Man,
she knows it.
Yeah, one of my good friends, he's from Ireland. I played with him in Phoenix. And my man asked him he lives in Orlando now, so when I say I'm gonna be asking him about potatoes.
What stuff do you have going on, man, right now that you would love to let the world know about? Because I know you're involved in all types of stuff.
Yeah, man, I do a lot, man, and it's funny because a lot of the things that I do now is things that I actually experienced myself. I help a lot of professional athletes transition out of sport, and the reason being behind that because I went through like a 3-year depression after I got done playing basketball.
Could imagine.
You know, it was just first of all, you've been doing something your entire life, you know, and it's not so easy to transition when you've been doing it so long. It's kind of like, you know, what now? What am I supposed to do now?
What am I?
You know what I mean? Like, and that was
what's my identity?
And that's one of the things that happened to me because it was like I let basketball identify who I was. You know what I mean? I didn't.
No, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand basketball was something that I did. Mm-hmm. So when it was taken away from me, is now I'm sitting around like, okay, who am I and what am I about to do now? So every single day, man, I was I was pouring up a bottle. I was drinking every single day, smoking marijuana every day, because I didn't want to have to deal with trying to make a decision and think about what I wanted to do with my life. And before I knew it, man, it was 3 years had passed me by. Every single day, I didn't want to face the fact. Anytime I thought, I had to think about that, I'm pouring the bottle up, falling asleep, waking up. Whenever it came across my mind, start drinking again. For 3 years, nobody knew where I was. So that's one of the things I do. I help a lot of athletes transition and kind of, talk to them about the things that I had to do to be able to overcome the things that I did. Because it's not easy. The same work ethic you had to do to be able to make the NBA, you're going to have to use that, to be able to come out of.
You got to put yourself in a decompression chamber. You have to decompress out.
Absolutely. And then, I started going to counseling. I always talk to people with importance about going to counseling. So that's one of the things I love to do. I work for a company called Educor, where I go in and talk with rookies through fourth-year guys, all the simple fact that I was that 19-year-old kid having to deal with family and all that kind of stuff. And all I do is talk about my experience with being that 19-year-old kid, talk about, my finances. So I go in and we talk financial literacy. My partner in this worked for Morgan Stanley for like 28 years, and he goes in with his suit and all that kind of stuff and speaking big words. And, and I just go in and speak on my experiences, and, that's what they need to hear.
Yeah.
They really need to hear like, oh, yeah, he's been through this. And, and I'm very open and transparent about the things that I've experienced because I want to help people. I don't want anybody to have to go through the things that I had went through financially trying to help. You know what I mean? Like, 16 aunties and uncles and a million first cousins. I thought I could save them all. And my first check was like $650,000. I thought I was rich. You know what I mean? That was my
manager, agent,
that was my
taxes.
That was my first contract. And that's the thing I really enjoy doing, with the younger group is breaking down $1 million to them, because I don't think, I think that's the easiest way to do it, because if you're making $1 million, Uncle Sam already getting 500,000 of that. You know, man, like 50% is gone. 10%, you know, you got to invest back in the NBA because they match. You know, that 10%, they match it. You know, you want to do that. So that's 10%. Then your agent get 4%. So that's 64% of your money gone.
Right.
And let's not start talking about having kids and, you know, child support may hit you.
Well, not only that, then you might have a manager.
I
eventually.
had to pay $7,500 a month, you know, for my son, and you know these guys now with their contracts, like it's ridiculous what these guys having to pay.
$50,000 a month. Some of these people.
Yeah,
You see it. There was
crazy.
something about who was somebody said no baby needs $50,000 a month. it was like somebody was like somebody's like, yeah, I just got alimony. He's like, I don't care who it is, no baby needs $50,000 a month.
And it's ridiculous, but these the kind of conversations that I have. You know, we got like 19 NBA teams. We go in and speak with the guys, and they need realistic views of it. You know, a lot of times I always tell my boss, like, man, it's good that you be able to, you know, say all of this stuff, but trust me, they zone it. They ain't really listening to any of that.
Yeah.
But you know, when I come in and break things down to them, and they look at me like, "What? You did what? You had to do what?" Yeah, like I went through all of that, and that, you know, kind of, they was like, and guys always tell me like, "Man, you got me about to do all my stuff different." I say, "Good. That let me know I've done my job."
What shocked you, being in debt for 4 years, like to the point where I couldn't? Where was the point of the story that triggered you to go?
No, because it happens.
They
You know
see
what I
it,
mean?
yeah.
It's gonna happen, and you're gonna face it, and you're gonna face people that have all these great ideas,
Yeah.
and want you to come in, and like I've seen it, you know, far too many times. So, you know, I really enjoy digging into the younger guys because I was that 19-year-old kid, and you know, my organization is called Beyond the Hardwood, and I really like to speak into our younger athletes that, you know, why try to go and try to be this part of this 1%. So I try to talk to them about everything that's around the game that's really making a lot of money, like being a mascot or being a referee. They're making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I say all of this stuff, and everybody always laughs when I say that mascots make six figures. But they really do. And
Yeah.
you know, they make a lot of money. Some of them making 7 figures.
Who's the guy that drops from the ceiling? One of the dudes that like drops from the ceiling in like the tiger outfit or something like.
Yeah, they doing a lot. So, you know, even the people that's, you know, around the game that's pulling those cords and snatching them out after games, making $200,000. You know, people that's putting makeup on Kenny and Shaq and all of them making $200,000.
Yep.
Or just the people like get into the broadcasting.
Right. It's just a lot that's surrounding the game of basketball. So I try to bring that, you know, to life and let the kids kind of, you know, see what opportunities that they can see themselves in, rather than trying to be a part of that 1%. Not trying to, you know,
Deflate them.
Not trying to detour them from what their dreams, because I think, you know, you should always dream big and want to be something. But I just like try to talk to them about other opportunities. If you really do love the game that much, there's other opportunities out there other than
there's
trying
other
to be part of that 1%.
My
other
mother
ways your
said
dream
that.
can come true.
My mom
Yeah.
said that to me early on. So I was like, I want to be a drummer. I want to play in bands. And then she's like, you're going to go to college. And all college made me do was force me to like work, right, a little harder. Because then it wasn't easy. You didn't have ChatGPT. We know this. Like,
Right.
we had to actually look up stuff and like go to the library. But with that, like I knew I was never going to be, I was good, but the odds of getting there are just probably even less than one. I mean, probably,
Yeah.
like yours, like 1%. And I'm sure if we do the number, it's even below, right?
Right.
How do you get to weave your God-given talent? Like I could talk, I knew I could sell, I knew I could do certain stuff into at least what you love.
Right.
Right? So if I could
Right.
be around entertainment and work with these people where I'm weaving, where I'm still smelling that air and I could see the load in and hear the music. Like I may not be the guy on the stage,
Right.
but I hover in that orbit.
Yep. That's it.
Right? Like, and that's where you're saying like, it's comical to say like, but yeah, man, I made good money working around what I knew and loved.
Right.
And it's, I might not have been the guy, but then again, it's like, don't get,
It's fulfilling.
it's Being in the orbit is getting the sunshine of that on your face.
Yeah,
is fulfilling.
it's fulfilling, and that's another thing I do because some people is not fulfilled, and what is that? Goes into, we talk about mental health.
Yep.
And I'm big in that space, and that's one of the things this year that I've started speaking on mental health awareness in sports. And I go in and speak on just my experiences again. Because when I started going to counseling after my 3-year depression, I started going to counseling off a guy by the name Ben Baker. Actually gave me life, man. And I asked him how was his transition, and he was like, it was hell. And I was like, well, how did you come out of it? And he was like, man, he said, Jumaine, one of the things I had to realize was that for us to be part of a 1%, it wasn't our skill, it's here. And we just got to find somewhere to detour that. And he gave me so much life by just telling me that. And that's when I wanted to be able to fix myself. And I started going to counseling, changed my life. And I didn't like it in the beginning because all they asked me about was my childhood. And I'm like, oh, man, what the hell? You got
to pour alcohol in the wounds now.
Like, come on, man. I come here because I'm depressed. Like, why we keep talking about my
childhood?
Talk about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
come here, you kick me in the teeth?
Right. And luckily, I'm that guy, if I start something, I'm going to finish it. So I continue going, man. And I never knew, like my childhood was bad.
Yeah.
Like, I never knew I had so much hurt and pain inside of me until I started going to counseling and having to talk about it. And I was sitting there like, man, that was pretty screwed up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, is that why I have abandonment issues? Like, that's why, a lot of things that I did growing up and things that I seen, like, just for instance, like, I grew up, I had like 2 or 3 aunts that dated married men. Like, I didn't know that affected me when it came to dating women.
Right.
Like, I would be that person that if I start liking them, then I'll do something dumb to sabotage it because I don't want to like them. I don't trust her. I had those kind of issues.
And it was implanted in your head from seeing it.
I didn't know any of that until I started going to counseling. I'm peeling back all of this stuff, and I'm like, man, like, I'm pretty jacked up for things that happened to me when I was a kid.
That wasn't your fault other than witnessing it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
it like put a brand on you that you didn't even know was there.
Absolutely. So that's what counseling did for me, and I'm big on, talking with people about going to counseling, because especially in our community, in the Black community, we don't believe in going to counseling. And that's one of the things, I always tell people how much it helped me identify myself, and it helped me figure out what my triggers were. It helped me find out, because it really helped me find out who I really was, going to counseling. And I always tell people, once you figure out who you really are and figure out what your triggers are, it's easier to fix it.
Yep.
Oh, if you could diagnose the car problem, you know where the knocking's coming from.
Absolutely.
Right? And
absolutely.
It's funny, bro, like the Italian community, and you see it, they're very, they might dress and take it, but they're very still machismo. Right, manly, like, right. Hey, they don't talk about you. Hey,
right.
They might be outwardly loving, but it's still about hey.
Right.
And it's hard for, like, I remember my grandfather being like, I'm happy to see you talk about stuff, and be like, Jesus.
Right.
Like, right. They never, they never, and that's like, it's in the community too of just like, we don't want to talk. Like,
right.
Why,
Well, and it's seen as a sign of weakness.
Right.
When in reality, it's one of the strongest things you can do.
Absolutely.
It takes strength to sit there and have a conversation with someone you do not know about things that you do not want to think about anymore.
Absolutely.
We talked our first, we had 5 minutes together. We're talking about all types of different stuff, which lends itself to being able to, and it's another thing out there, like, guys, please, if out there, men, talk to each other. Like, don't talk, like, talk to each other. Just say, yo, because I guarantee the guy's going to be like, oh, I ran into this shit last week. You are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Just know, like, we talked about this. Like, I want my friends to be like an AA meeting. Like, there's a garbage man, and there's a NBA player, and there's a lawyer and a doctor, and they can all sit there and go, yeah. Like, so if we take anything from this, like, please, just talk to somebody. Even if it's just a rando. Say, hey, you ever had this problem? I guarantee you the dude would be like,
No, you'd be amazed. Just me being open and transparent about anything, wherever I am, you'd be amazed at how many people have a breath of fresh air just hearing that, and they're comfortable right away. Like, oh man, he's talking about that. Oh, I could talk about this stuff.
Yep.
Because he's talking about it. And it's crazy, it's like that, but you would be amazed at how many people just hoping that they can have those kind of conversations. People want it, but people don't want to ask to be able to have those conversations. So that's why I always push people to go to counseling, because, life is hard, man. Like,
There's no reason you have to do it
I think a lot of people's been through a lot, man, through their time. Nobody's had that perfect life.
No one has.
You've experienced something. I think everybody needs to go to counseling. I think everybody should see somebody. I go every week still, because I don't want any backslides. I always want to, make sure I'm on the up and up. I always want to be better. I've learned to meditate in the morning. I'm in the sauna at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm Bible study every Thursday. Like, I'm on self-help, whatever I can do to be better in my time, because, time is short, man. You just want to be able to live your best life while you're here. And what better way to do that? Learn to love yourself. And I always tell people, it's a lot of times you can look yourself in the mirror, but it's the person you don't see that gets you in the most trouble. And that requires you to learn who you are. And how can you do that? Go to counseling can help you with it. So if you out there, please have conversations with your counselor, have conversations with your friends. Trust me, they may be going through the same things. And men, we really got to be able to, because we're the people that's supposed to be leading our communities, leading our households, and doing all that kind of stuff. We need to talk more to each other and be transparent with each other, because we're the leaders. Iron sharpens iron. If we sit there and be transparent and have these kind of conversations, man, imagine where our world would be with us as leaders.
I
love that.
Well
said.
I couldn't think of a better way.
Well said.
To put a bow on this, my friend. I just want to ask you one more thing. If you have one more final thing, what do you want to leave? I know you just said it, which is a great way to put a bow on it, but final statement from you, pal. And I have a feeling you're going to be returning and be on, and I might just have it be on as just shits and giggles, because you're an incredible guest, pal, and you're an even better human. And it's great to hear that all gems start out rough, right? Absolutely. And you got to polish. And I think that the crazy part is, I would never want to say to you, man, you seem polished, right? You'd be insulted. You got because you want to keep working.
Right, absolutely.
And I'm proud of you, pal. One more thing to say to our people out there, what is it?
Smile.
Love that.
Smile, man. Because you never know, man. Like you never know what people are going through in this world, man. A lot of times you don't understand what a smile can do for somebody else. Mm-hmm. I had a guy that's from Canada that I talked to, man, and he said he was going through so much in his life, and he was just speaking on, how he wanted to commit suicide. And he said somebody came in and smiled at him and asked him how was his day. And he said that stopped him from doing it. Just because they smiled at him and asked him how his day was. So for everybody out there, smile. You never know what anybody's going through in this life, man. Life is hard. Smile and, you can make somebody else's day.
Everybody, thank you for joining the Pete Podcast. The one and only Jumaine Jones.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care of each other. We love you. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Pete Podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe, ring the bells, hit the chimes, scream it from the hilltops. Whatever you can do is much appreciated. Also, reach out to us on social media. We love to hear from everyone. Links are in the show notes.